Bang, bang, bang. Someone was banging on the door in the dark early morning. Ufoma jumped up in fear, her heart beating fast. It was around 4:30 a.m., and outside was still black and silent. She had been praying quietly when the sudden knocks broke the silence. Who could be knocking at her door so very early in the morning? Ufoma grabbed a flashlight and tiptoed to the door. Destiny, her 12-year-old daughter, peeked out of her bedroom with a worried face. They were both trembling. Ufoma called out softly, "Hello? Who is there?" But no answer came. She opened the door just a little and shined the light outside. The porch was empty and dark. Was someone playing a trick on them, or was something unseen knocking on their door? Welcome to Royal Beat Tales, a home of interesting stories. Ufoma had moved into this new house in Warri only a day ago. She was a 35-year-old single mother who came here because of her job transfer to a local bank. She barely had time to settle in or meet anyone before enrolling Destiny in a new school. The estate looked ordinary, but the neighbors acted strangely. Some residents peeked at them from behind curtains when they arrived, and no children played outside. The place was too quiet at night. Ufoma tried to ignore the uneasy feeling, but it kept growing. They did not know a dark secret was hiding in the estate, waiting for the right moment to show itself. Later that morning, as the sun rose, the landlord of the estate came by. He spoke to Ufoma in a low, stern voice. He told her that she must not pray so early in the morning again. Ufoma was surprised and asked why not, since she always prayed at dawn. The landlord would not explain. He simply said, "Just don't do it again." Ufoma agreed quietly, but inside she was disturbed. Why would anyone want to stop her from praying? In truth, the landlord was not a normal man at all. He was secretly a wizard, a man who did dark magic. Every night his spirit left his body to join other wicked people in secret gatherings. Early each morning his spirit would fly back home. But that dawn, Ufoma's prayers filled the air with God's light and blocked his evil spirit from returning easily. The landlord was furious that her early morning prayer had interfered with his dark powers. He had to make sure she never prayed at that hour again. What would he do next to keep his terrible secret safe? That evening, Ufoma and Destiny felt ill at ease. The old woman next door had come out in the afternoon and stared at Destiny without blinking, which made the girl shiver. A black cat sat on the old woman's fence, its yellow eyes glowing at their window. When night fell, the estate was silent as a grave. No laughter, no TVs, nothing, only the chirping of crickets. Before bed, Ufoma and Destiny said a quiet prayer together, hoping to be safe. Just as Destiny was about to sleep, she thought she saw a shadow move past her bedroom window. Ufoma checked, but saw nothing except the dark yard and swaying trees. They huddled together under a blanket, hearts pounding. Was someone lurking outside, waiting for them to fall asleep? In the deepest part of the night, Destiny suddenly screamed and clutched her stomach in pain. Ufoma raced into her daughter's room. Destiny was crying, her body shaking as if an unseen hand had grabbed her. "Mama, help me!" Destiny gasped, tears in her eyes. Ufoma's blood ran cold. She heard a faint, evil chant coming from outside the window. Peering through a gap in the curtain, Ufoma's eyes widened in horror. Under the moonlight, the old woman from next door was crouching in the yard. The woman was hunched over a large wooden mortar and pestle, the kind used to pound yams, and she was pounding fiercely on nothing, all while murmuring dark words. With each heavy thump of the pestle, Destiny cried out in pain as if something was hitting her. The neighbor was performing a dark ritual to harm her child. Ufoma's hands shook, but she refused to let evil win. She grabbed her own mortar and pestle from the kitchen. With firm feet and a strong voice, she began to pound her mortar loudly while praying at the top of her lungs. "Leave my daughter alone. Ufoma shouted into the night. She called on God with every fiber of her being, begging for help. Destiny writhed on the bed, and Ufoma kept praying, tears on her cheeks. The old woman outside snarled in anger. Each time Ufoma's pestle banged the mortar, the witch felt a blow to her dark plans. Destiny's screams began to soften as Ufoma's prayers grew louder. Would Ufoma's faith and courage be enough to save Destiny from this wicked magic? For a moment, silence fell. Destiny caught her breath and clung to her mother, whimpering. Ufoma's prayers had chased the old witch away from the yard, at least for now. But suddenly, bang! A loud thud hit the roof, making both of them jump. The lights in the house flickered and then went out, plunging them into darkness. The evil forces were not done yet. A fierce wind howled outside, rattling the windows. Ufoma heard scratching at the front door, as if sharp claws were trying to get in. Through the window, she saw more dark shapes moving in the shadows. The neighbors were awake and creeping out of their houses with unnatural, jerky movements. One by one, they gathered in the street, surrounding Ufoma's home. Some had eyes that gleamed in the dark. All of them were eerily silent. It was as if the entire estate was under a spell and had turned against the single mother and her child. Destiny gripped her mother's hand tightly. She was trembling from head to toe, trying not to sob out loud. Ufoma's heart pounded. They were trapped and terribly outnumbered. How could they escape this living nightmare alive? Ufoma knew they could not wait inside any longer. If they stayed, the evil people might break in and harm them. With a deep breath, she whispered into Destiny's ear, "We have to run now." Destiny nodded, though tears filled her eyes. Keeping the room completely dark, Ufoma quietly unlatched the back door of the house. She held Destiny's hand firmly. Together they slipped out into the night, trying not to make a sound. As soon as they cleared the doorway, Ufoma gripped Destiny's hand and they ran. They ran as fast as their legs could carry them, barefoot on the cold ground. Behind them, an angry howl rose into the air when the witches realized their prey was escaping. "There they are!" a hoarse voice shrieked from somewhere behind, but Ufoma did not dare look back. She could see the small church at the end of the road, not too far away. Its steeple stood against the starry sky, and Ufoma focused her eyes on it. She prayed silently as they dashed through the dark street. Their pursuers were close. She could hear footsteps and furious hissing sounds closing in. Thump, thump. Her heart beat like a drum as they neared the church gates. Would they make it to safety before the evil caught up to them? Ufoma and Destiny finally reached the little church at the end of the street. The gate was open, and they rushed straight inside the church compound. As they stumbled up the steps, an old security guard who stayed at the church at night noticed them. "Help us, please," Ufoma cried. Sensing their terror, the guard quickly unlocked the church door and let them in. The moment they stepped into the church, a calm warmth embraced them. Inside, it was quiet and dim, with a single light near the altar. Ufoma and Destiny fell to their knees, breathing hard. Ufoma hugged her daughter tightly as Destiny sobbed into her shoulder. "You're safe now," she whispered, stroking the girl's hair. Ufoma glanced back through the slightly open door. She thought she saw several dark figures gathered at the church gate, but none of them dared to step onto the church grounds. It was as if an invisible wall was keeping the evil away. The witches could only watch from a distance, hissing in frustration. Ufoma closed her eyes and said a prayer of thanks, tears of relief streaming down her face. They stayed inside the holy sanctuary for the rest of the night, praying and waiting for the morning. But were they truly safe now, or was the danger still lurking close by? At dawn, the night's darkness finally disappeared. Warm sunlight filtered through the church windows. Ufoma felt a great relief. They had survived till morning. A kind pastor arrived in the morning and was alarmed to find Ufoma and Destiny huddled in a pew. Ufoma quickly explained a little of what happened and that they needed to leave that estate at once. Later that day, Ufoma returned to the estate with 2 police officers by her side. She had called the police to escort her so she could pack her things. Her legs felt weak as she walked in, but she was determined never to spend another night here. To her surprise, the estate looked so peaceful in daylight, as if nothing had happened at all. The houses stood quiet and neat under the morning sun. Some neighbors were out sweeping their doorsteps or watering plants, acting completely normal. The old woman from next door was sitting on her porch, humming a song like an innocent grandmother. She even waved cheerfully at Destiny. Destiny hid behind her mother, frightened and confused. The landlord approached with a big smile on his face, as if he hadn't been part of the terror last night. "Leaving so soon? Is everything okay?" he asked in a sugary voice. Ufoma felt anger and fear twist in her stomach, but she kept a calm face. She just wanted to grab her things and get far away from these people. With the police watching, none of the neighbors did anything strange. They only looked on with polite faces as Ufoma and the officers went into the house. Inside, Ufoma and Destiny hurried to gather their belongings. She didn't even bother to pack everything, only what they truly needed. One neighbor knocked on the door and kindly asked, "Do you need help with your bags?" Ufoma jumped at the sound, but then shook her head firmly. "No, thank you," she said, not letting the neighbor step inside. Why were the neighbors acting like nothing had happened? With the police escorting them, Ufoma and Destiny left the house that afternoon with bags in hand. They put everything into a taxi and got in. As the taxi drove toward the estate gates, a few neighbors stood by and waved goodbye, as if they were sad to see them leave. Ufoma did not wave back. She held Destiny close, thankful that they were getting out alive. Her eyes drifted to the landlord, who watched them from the roadside with an unreadable expression. Ufoma felt a chill, but then she turned away and faced forward. She was done with this evil place. The gates opened and the car drove out onto the main road. At that moment, Ufoma let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. Destiny leaned against her, and Ufoma put an arm around her daughter. "It's over now," Ufoma whispered softly. They were free. They headed straight to a friend's house and then to the church again to thank God for saving them. Ufoma's prayers and courage had saved them from the darkness. The wicked people of the estate could not harm them anymore. In the end, the witches could not win against a brave mother and the power of her faith. Ufoma and Destiny were safe at last, leaving the evil estate behind forever. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment for more interesting stories.